What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers, as you know, and I wrongly announced last week, the Pittsburgh Steelers do have their bye week this Sunday, so we are off. We are at the halfway point of the season. Pittsburgh is, I believe, 2-6, which is not very inspiring considering we are looking like one of the worst teams in the NFL. The rebuilding era is upon us. People got swept up, myself partially included, in what was going to happen in the post-Big Ben era, not realizing after 18 consecutive years of stabilization and being in the playoff contention or AFC Championship contention every year with a franchise quarterback that once that leaves, you got some rebuilding to do, not to mention the rebuilding on the offensive line for the past several years. So because we're in a bye week and because I have not been very attentive to the Steelers season as I usually am this year because of all my film commitments and other stuff that I've been doing, I wanted to bring you guys a bye week video talking about two things. Number one, the trade deadline just passed and Pittsburgh was active, making two trades, trading one guy away and getting one guy on the team. And I wanted to talk to you guys also about the ways to fix the Steelers. Now, obviously, again, we're in a rebuilding phase. We have a lot of things to fix. There are a lot of aspects of this team that need fixing. This team is broken in a lot of ways. We have penalty issues, we have coaching issues, we have coordinator issues, we have quarterback issues, we have offensive line issues, we have running back issues, we have wide receiver issues, we have tackling issues, we have coverage issues. Pittsburgh has problems all across the board, but I wanted to look at 4 quick ways that I could vastly improve this season, at least to see what we have going into next year. To build on a losing season and find positives in a season like this, you want to see what you have and see what you can build on. Start stringing together a few wins, string together a few positives, get some draft picks. So I want to look at our trade situations we just did, and I want to look at how to improve this season and the Steelers franchise going forward. So number one, the 2 trades. Chase Claypool goes to the Chicago Bears for a 2023 second rounder, the Bears second rounder. They had 2 on their books. They gave us their Chicago Bears second rounder for Chase Claypool. Now, I've seen a lot of conjecture on this. I've seen a lot of back and forth, a lot of positives and negatives. I look at this as a positive. Looking at Chase Claypool, obviously the guy's got speed, the guy's got size. There's times that he's used his body well. He's got a high ceiling that we never saw the full potential of. This season alone, we had that one game against the Bucs where he had 3 third-down conversion catches and a big touchdown. So we saw what Claypool can really do. We've seen him on jet sweeps do positive things. We've seen him on go balls do really good things. We know that he's got the physical tools. They called him Mapletron after Megatron Calvin Johnson, for goodness sake. So we saw that he has the potential to be something special, potentially. But he has a lot of issues. He doesn't often get separation from corners and safeties. He doesn't get himself open for the most part. He doesn't always use his body when it comes to physical plays. It's 50-50 with him. He hasn't learned how to run other routes aside from the go balls. He's good down the sideline one-on-one for the most part, but he doesn't always use his body and he doesn't run other routes down the field. He's not gotten more diversity. He's had some game management issues. We saw him celebrate and spike the ball in the fourth quarter when we're trying to win. We've heard him talk to the media about doing this and that, trying to change things. So there's a few character issues there. We've talked about him saying he's one of the top 3 receivers in the NFL, which he obviously is not. So Claypool's got some issues. And yeah, again, there's a high ceiling that we haven't seen the best of yet, but we might have seen the best we can get from Chase Claypool here. So we drafted him in the second round several years ago. To get a high second-round pick back for that seems like a lot to me. That's a really good bargain. So even if you do like what Claypool could be, based on what he's done here so far, and the fact that he's not gotten better and his production has tailed off every year since his first year, I'm liking this value pick. To get a high second-rounder, because the Bears right now are sitting at like 43, 44 overall in that second round. So now we have our first and second plus the Bears. That's 3 picks in the top 50. That is a very good way to rebuild a team and start getting high picks to start making up for some of those holes on this team. For a team like the Steelers who needs a lot, that's a positive. To get a high second rounder, I didn't expect that. That's a bargain that you have to take. Also, it frees up more targets. So our biggest complaints on offense, several of them this year have been Pat Freiermuth is a budding star. He's not getting enough targets. George Pickens has shown us he has crazy hands and crazy strength. He's not getting enough targets. Deontay Johnson, in spite of not catching the ball enough, can really flash when he does. He's not getting enough targets. Our backup guys coming in haven't really gotten any chances, like Steven Sims and Miles Boykin. Now, all of a sudden, the targets are opened up. Now Claypool is gone, so you've gotten rid of a lot of uncertainty. You've gotten a high pick back for him, and now you've got more targets for Freiermuth, more targets for Pickens, more targets for Deontay. Now the offense can become a little more defined in addition by subtraction. So yes, we're going to miss Claypool to an extent with those go balls. But Freiermuth is good across the middle one-on-one in combat catches. George Pickens is very, very good as it relates to the one-on-one go balls, and he can run more routes, and his hands are better when more consistent. Deontay, when he's on, is a better receiver, although he's got his inconsistency issues. Najee can catch the ball out of the backfield. Miles Boykin is an underrated strong receiver that we haven't seen much of this year that I like. And we have a Steven Sims in the slot who can kind of do the jet sweep stuff that Claypool was doing, possibly not with as much success, but we've got him there. So now we get a high second-round pick for a guy that wasn't consistent for us, and now we have more targets for the guys that we know can be consistent for us, namely Freiermuth and George Pickens. Now for the other deal. Pittsburgh gets the guy they wanted to draft in 2016 that was picked one slot ahead of us. We wound up choosing, was it Artie Burns or Justin Lane? I forget. We picked somebody else that massively failed for us, and the Bengals wound up with William Jackson. He is now was now a Commander. We traded for William Jackson. He's in his 7th season. We got William Jackson plus a 2025 7th-round pick, trading away a conditional 2025 6th-round pick. So you get a full-time starter who's been a cornerback 1/2. He's been a starter in the league now for several teams over a 7-year career. You get him in a 7th-rounder for a conditional 6th-round pick. So you're getting him for free. I mean, you're at the very most, you're swapping out a 7 for a 6. And the conditional possibly is not even that. So, yeah, you're swapping out a 7th for a 6. You're getting a pick and a player for a low pick. You cannot complain about that deal. To get a starter for nothing is really, really good. Now, the Commanders were going to cut him if they couldn't find a trade partner, so you could have gotten him for even lower value. But you know what? Again, when watching Jackson's tape, I've not seen much of him this year. I know that he's been injured on and off, and I know that Father Time plus injuries can not always make for the best thing. But again, you're getting a guy who flashed brilliance in Cincinnati several times. I like what he did in Cincinnati, and I've not seen much of him this past year in Washington. But again, Jackson is a physical guy, and watching his tape, he can press up, he can play man, which Pittsburgh loves to do, he can defend the deep ball, which we've seen Pittsburgh not be able to do. In the last 2 weeks, Ahkello Witherspoon has not looked very good. I've liked him last year and the first part of this year. I have not liked him the last 2 weeks, and he's been getting beat on go balls a lot. Those deep balls to guys like A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase have toasted us. Levi Wallace has not been fully healthy all year, but I have not liked the consistency of what I've seen from him. So our corners, while they're established names and while they've shown us good things, they've not been consistent and they've not been good for the past several weeks as the starters go. So to get William Jackson for nothing and bring him in here could help us. Again, he's physical in the air. He can locate the ball. He doesn't always catch the ball. He doesn't have many interceptions, but he can locate the ball. He's physical in the air. He's good in man coverage. He can do some of the things that we cannot do, and he's going to add a veteran presence who has some strengths that we need for free in this roster. So that's a good trade as well. I like that. Now looking at the 4 things that I would do, I don't want to say to save the season because I don't know if there's any saving it. There's too many holes. But 4 things to instantly improve this team. I think both those trades just did that. Again, more targets for receivers, a pick for Claypool, a veteran corner for free. I like those things. Now, here are some more things we can do. Number 1, you know what I'm going to say, right? Fire Matt Canada. I know Tomlin has already said this week there's going to be no coordinator changes, no coaching changes. I don't understand it. I know that it's Canada's first year under his system with his guys. He tried things under Ben that he didn't like, but he has 2 mobile quarterbacks now in Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, and I've not liked most of what I've seen from either of those guys. Now, granted, Trubisky hadn't started for a while. Pickett's a rookie. The offensive line stinks. It's not all Matt Canada. The system in general is flawed at all levels at this point. But Matt Canada, to me, is a glaring weakness for us. Predictable play calls, throwing short of the sticks, running when there's no lanes, running for 1 yard, throwing these 2-yard dump outs. this stuff is not working for us. And it's gotten to the point now where all of the offense, including Claypool, who was complaining, that's part of why he's gone now, but all of the offense, including young Kenny Pickett, have said, we're not taking chances, we're not throwing the ball up. You got to go down the field. You got to take chances, especially when your offensive line has backed you up to 3rd and 15, 3rd and 19. Throw the ball past the sticks. What's it going to hurt? If anything else, it's like a long punt, but take the chance. You got a young quarterback who needs confidence. You got an offensive line who doesn't give our quarterback much time. Toss the ball down the field. You got a guy in Freiermuth who's good at combat catches. You got George Pickens, who's one of the best deep threats in the league already with his hands and his strength. And Deontay's very fast, so if he can get separation, which he's the only guy on the roster that really does right now, as long as he can catch the ball, he's gonna make some long plays out of this. You've got some guys who can do some things downfield. You need to take some chances. You got to get out of the predictable jet sweep and dump off and 2nd and 10, 1 yard run and throw in the screens on 3rd and 19. You got to break out of that stuff. Canada has to go. We need to see if Kenny Pickett is the guy or not. I said this before. We don't know yet. Kenny Pickett has shown us upsides, and he's shown us a lot of turnovers and bad decisions. Now, he's a rookie, and those are going to happen. It happened to Josh Allen. It's happened to Peyton Manning. It's happened to all of those quarterbacks. We got to give Pickett time. But in order to accurately see Kenny Pickett, we need to see what he can do under a better coordinator and a better offensive line. So we have to see if he's the guy or not, and I don't want to wait 4 years till the end of his rookie contract to find out if he's worth it while we go 7-9, 8-8, whatever. Like I don't want to be hovering around the middle and getting 5, 6, 7 win seasons trying to figure this out. So let's get rid of the coordinator, make the city and the team happier, get a spark, and see what Kenny Pickett can do taking some more shots down the field. It's not going to hurt. If anything, it's going to result in more turnovers and more losses for this year, which is already a wash anyway. You have to see what you have, and you can't see what you have with a bad coordinator. This offense has too much talent to be as bad as it is, even with a rookie in there. Which leads to my next point. I'm going to be specific now. I've talked all year long about benching our offensive linemen, and people have gone, where are you going to find guys any better? Where are you going to find guys any worse? This offensive line is a bottom 3 offensive line in the NFL. Pickett is under fire constantly. There's no time to develop stuff downfield. Najee Harris, you can say what you want about his eyesight, his running lanes, whatever. There are times that he has been stalling out and kind of taking too much time to read because he's afraid he has no holes, because there's not been anything open all year long. His best stuff has been in the passing game, which has been limited. So you want to see again and make sure that Najee Harris is the guy you think he is. I still have faith that he's the guy from Alabama, but the offensive line has to improve. In every phase of the game, they've not been good in passing or rushing whatsoever. Our best 3 blockers this season have been Claypool, who's gone now, the backup tight end Zach Gentry, and the backup running back Jaylen Warren. That is a problem when your 3 best blockers are none of your offensive linemen. So being more specific, 3 guys that I would bench right now to see what we have in there is benching Dan Moore, benching Chuks Okorafor, benching Kevin Dotson. Pre-snap penalties, during play penalties, just bonehead mistakes, just causing bad sacks, causing the quarterback to get killed, opening up no running lanes. Dan Moore played badly enough. He showed upside in his rookie season last year, but played badly enough in preseason to be cut. I was debating whether or not you cut Dan Moore this preseason, and I was falling along the lines of cut him. He played so badly, and he's not been any better this year. He's been the single worst offensive lineman this year, which is a shame because, again, I didn't really like the draft pick at the time, but for what they had and where they chose to pick a lineman, that was a good option. And then he showed some ups and downs, but definitely big upside last year. That has been gone this year. Bench him. Chuks Okorafor, I hated that re-signing more than any other offensive move we made all off season. This and the Trubisky signing were the wrong guys for me. The money we paid Chuks Okorafor, we could have paid to a better offensive lineman. Chuks has had a lot of penalties. He's been holding a lot. He's not been as bad as Dan Moore, but he's been bad all season. And honestly, to me, bad his entire Steeler career. We've seen him now for 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years, 18 years. How long has he been here stinking up the joint? Put him on the bench. I don't care if he got paid this offseason. Put him on the bench, at least for a couple games. And Kevin Dotson. I've been a big Kevin Dotson defender. I loved Kevin Dotson his rookie year. He showed us a lot 2 years ago, was hurt all of last year. Reports where he came in out of shape last year, came in out of shape this year. He's had some problems with the coaching staff. He's been in and out of the lineup. but I have not liked what I've seen of him. He's been our third worst lineman to me. He's been holding a lot and a lot of pre-snap penalties. And again, for a young offense with a rookie quarterback, you cannot have those penalties to put yourself in second and third and long and punt the ball. So I bench those three guys, and you look on the bench and go, well, okay, how are you going to get any better? Well, you're not going to get necessarily better, but you're going to see what you have. That's a theme of this video, is see what you have. So bring in guys like J.C. Hassenauer, who you know has been a solid center/guard for us for the last couple of years when he's coming in spot duty, and when he relieved Kendrick Green last year, very solid. I think that's an improvement. Put him at guard. You got Jesse Davis, a guy who's been on the practice squad on and off. He got signed in the offseason. See what he has. You know, maybe he winds up being worse. He gets bullied. Who knows? But you can't get much worse than one of the worst offenses in the league. Najee Harris is out there getting barely 3 yards a carry. We can't get much worse. Empty the bench. See what you have. John LeGlue's another guy. Solid last year. Came in and wasn't tremendous by any means, but for what we expected and kind of who John LeGlue is, played very, very solid and showed us good moments last year. What hurts to bring in Hassenauer and LeGlue and bench some of the guys you want to make a statement to, and you're telling the team, hey, you got to play good or you're getting benched. We don't care if you're the starter. We don't care what we have on the bench. Put some new guys in there and see what you have. Kendrick Green, give him another shot. I don't think he's any better than these guys. I'd cut him in the beginning of next season, but see what he has. He's a high draft pick. He's a big, powerful guy. He's good on swing blocks. Try some stuff with him. Empty the bench out. Bring these 3 or 4 guys in and see what you have. Because at least you're making a statement that you're trying to change some things. And if you wind up hitting on 1 or 2 guys, or you start getting 1 or 2 more yards to carry, and you start looking more competent, you got some stuff to look at. You can cut some guys next season. You can bring some draft picks in. You can add to a solid lineup. I know that Kendrick Green and J.C. Hassenauer and John LeGlue and Jesse Davis are not ideal, but they're better than what we have right now. At least give it a chance for a game or 2, and if it's worse, you can always go back to these guys because they can't play much worse. So, I like that. Number 3, more Jaylen Warren and Connor Hayward. Jaylen Warren's been very underrated. He's found holes where Najee Harris has not. He's been a burst of speed for us. He can catch the ball out of the backfield just about the same or a little bit lower at a rate that Najee Harris can. He's an underrated pass-catching back. He's our best blocking running back. He's put some good blocks in this season, so he can free up your plays for some wide receiver screens and end-arounds if Jaylen Warren's in a little more. And again, he can get those bursts up the middle, those draw plays and stuff like that. He's found some daylight where Najee has not. Put Jaylen Warren in there more. He's been one of the biggest pleasant surprises of the season. Speaking of pleasant surprises, Connor Hayward. I know he's your third tight end. I know you already have your superstar that can catch. You already have your guy that can block in Zach Gentry. But if you want to do some 2 tight end sets for passing downs whenever it does get to second and third and long, I don't think it hurts to get a mismatch in there. If you have Connor Hayward and Pat Freiermuth, you have 2 lengthy, tall, strong guys who can catch in traffic. That gives you 2 tight end sets, which gives you more blocking opportunities and more chances to get the running backs the ball and to run some different sets. Again, firing Matt Canada and using more of these backup guys gives you more looks and more opportunities. You can run more screens and jet sweeps with a guy like Warren out there for him or for the receivers. Connor Hayward gives you a 2 tight end passing set that you can look at as something different. It gives you more red zone, short yardage, goal line stuff, which we have not been very strong at. So put him in a little more. And finally, number 4, see what you have, especially as relates to defense. Looking at some of these defensive situations, again, we're a losing team who has holes everywhere. We have problems, especially with looking at defense, we have problems getting pressure on the front 7. We have problems tackling the running backs, especially late in games. We have problems covering, especially the one-on-one balls. Let's empty the cupboards with some of our younger draft picks and guys that have shown us hype in preseason and put them out there a little bit. What's it going to hurt? The defense is already one of the weaker defenses in the league at times. They've been good at times and bad at times. Games like the Bucs game was good, but that was a lot of backups. Let's see if we can put some backups in there in certain moments. Give them more shine. I'm not saying go bench T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Keep your stars out there. But in certain spots, let's give guys a chance. Looking at Isaiah Loudermilk, we need somebody on the D-line to do what Tuitt could do. Like, Tuitt's gone and Alu is no longer what he was. So now we're using Montravis Adams and DeMarvin Leal in there. And Leal's flashed some brilliance for us when he's been in there, but he's hurt right now. So we need spots on the line to show out and do a little more. Let's give a guy like Loudermilk an opportunity because we've had some injuries to the Bengals free agent as well. So let's give Loudermilk a chance out there. He's batted some balls and made some tackles on running backs when he's been there. Let's see if we can use him to get some pressure and bat some more balls and cause some turnovers, get some picks. So I like Loudermilk a lot. Mark Robinson, the undersized the undersized outside line or inside linebacker. Let's see what you have in Robinson. Let's see if he can start to get some pressure off the edge. Let's see if his coverage is any better. We know he's fast and we know he hits hard. He's undersized, but can you get much worse in pass coverage than Spillane and Bush? Bush has played a little better this year, and Spillane's not been exposed as much, but they have coverage issues, and they had some tackling issues and gap control issues. Let's see if Mark Robinson can get in those gaps a little bit and create some plays for us. Why not put him out there a little more, split some time with Spillane and even Bush, and just see what you have? He had a really good preseason. Let's see what we have there. Jameer Jones. He had a big preseason 2 years ago and had, 5 sacks in 4 games? He really got pressure on the quarterback. We're missing a lot of pressure. Highsmith has his moments, and he's had some big highs and big lows, and I feel like the guy on the other side has been solid. Malik Reed has had good moments and had a decent game last week, but we need more pressure. Malik Reed, I think he's gotten 1 or 2 sacks so far. He's not getting a ton of pressure. We need more pressure on the outside. We need to make up for that missing TJ Watt factor, which you're not going to replace him, but you got a chance to get a little better. So Jameer Jones, who was really good at pressing the quarterbacks in preseason, might be able to get us something here. So try out some bench guys, rotate them in a little bit, get a few plays here and there, and see if they can get something going. Hell, if you're going to have injuries, start them for a game. Give them 1 game to start and see if they can make a play or two. You're trying to invest in your future here, and you want to see what you have. So that's my next note. So those are our trades. Those are what I would do this season to see some upside, see some bright spots, and get the season a little better. What do you guys think? What would you do? What do you think of the trades we made, and what do you think of the points that I made? Are those positives or negatives? Am I right or wrong on those? What would you do to make the season better? Tell me in the comments below, and please like, share, and subscribe if you like these deep dive videos, and I will see you guys back again next week for more consistent Sunday Steeler coverage. Go Steelers. Let's hope for a better second half of the season.